All ISMs are bad. A Gen Xer's journey down the rabbit hole. Forward. The systems we live by, capitalism, socialism, individualism, and every other ism, were built to serve people. But somewhere along the way, they stopped working for us. Instead of solving problems, they became problems. Instead of freeing us, they trapped us. All ISMs are bad is more than a critique. It's a wake-up call. This book challenges you to question everything you've been told about systems, labels, and the way the world works. It's not about picking sides. It's about seeing through the noise and finding what works. Gen X, this is your moment. You were born skeptics, raised in chaos, and built to adapt. You see through the BS, and you're perfectly positioned to lead the charge into something better. This book is your guide. Reject the ISMs. Build what works. And take the first step toward a future that isn't defined by broken systems, but by real solutions. Chapter 1. The Ferris Punch. ISMs are bad. That's it. That's the line that sparked a revolution in my mind. Ferris Bueller, a fictional high school slacker, tapped into something profound with those three little words. He wasn't just talking about socialism or capitalism. He wasn't debating communism or individualism. He was rejecting the entire concept of systems designed to control, label, and divide us. ISMs are bad. It was a throwaway line in a comedy, but for an entire generation, it was a seed. It planted a question that's been growing ever since. What if Ferris was right? What if the problem isn't one system or the other, but the fact that we've bought into the idea of systems at all? This book isn't here to solve the world's problems. It's here to help you see the real problem. We've been fighting over systems, ISMs, that were never meant to save us. They were built to control us. And we've been so busy picking sides that we forgot to ask the only question that matters. What actually works? A generation built to question. Let's get one thing straight. Gen X wasn't raised to follow the rules. We grew up in the chaos of cultural upheaval, the MTV era, the grunge rebellion, the internet explosion. We were latchkey kids and counterculture rebels, the ones who learned early on that authority figures weren't always looking out for us. Our parents' generation promised us stability and freedom, but we saw the cracks in their dream. The systems they swore by, capitalism, democracy, organized religion, all came with strings attached. They told us to play by the rules, but the rules seemed rigged. So we tuned out. We shrugged. We said, whatever. And yet, beneath that indifference was a spark of rebellion, a deep-seated instinct to reject the BS and find something real. We're not boomers clinging to power, and we're not millennials demanding change. Gen X was raised in the chaos of shifting paradigms, economic uncertainty, cultural upheaval, and technological revolution. We learned to adapt, to think independently, and to question everything. We're pragmatic, skeptical, and resilient because we had to be. This makes us uniquely suited to lead. We're not here to save the system. We're here to build something better. We're the in-between generation, the ones who see the game for what it is but haven't quite figured out how to change it. This book is my attempt to start that conversation, to help us remember who we are and why we're perfectly positioned to lead the next revolution. Because if we don't do it, who will? The rabbit hole. The journey down the rabbit hole started for me in a conversation. I was frustrated. The systems around me, at work, in society, in politics, all seemed broken. I tried to fix things within the framework I was given, but it was like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. No matter what I did, the same problems kept coming back. So I asked myself a question. What if the framework itself is the problem? That's when I started to see it. The root issue wasn't one system or another. It wasn't capitalism versus socialism or freedom versus control. The problem was the very idea of systems, the ISS we've built to make sense of the world, but which end up trapping us instead. Every ism starts as a tool to solve a problem, but it eventually becomes a cage. It stops being about progress and starts being about loyalty. It stops being about people and starts being about the system itself. Think about it. Capitalism was supposed to drive innovation and create prosperity, and for a while, it did. But somewhere along the way, it became about hoarding wealth, externalizing costs, and chasing endless growth at any cost. Socialism was supposed to create equality and fairness. But in practice, it's often turned into bureaucracy, inefficiency, and the suppression of individual ambition. Even individualism, the great American ideal, was supposed to empower people to live freely. But taken to its extreme, it's eroded community and left people isolated, disconnected, and struggling to find meaning. Every ism starts with good intentions, and every ism ends up broken. Think of capitalism. It started as a system to reward innovation and hard work, but now it hoards wealth and externalizes its failures onto the environment and the vulnerable. Or socialism, a vision of equality that, in practice, often devolves into bureaucratic stagnation and crushed ambition. Even individualism, which promised freedom, now isolates us, making meaningful community harder to find. The pattern repeats, noble ideas twisted into systems that serve themselves, not the people they were meant to help. Why all ISMS are bad? Here's the truth. ISMS are bad because they're built to control. They oversimplify complex problems. They force us to pick sides. And they demand loyalty, even when they've clearly stopped working. ISMS oversimplify reality. The world is messy. It's full of nuance, contradictions, and gray areas. But ISMs turn that complexity into black and white. They say, this is the way. They pretend there's one answer to every problem, even when the evidence says otherwise. And when reality doesn't fit the ism, we're told to ignore reality. ISIS create tribes. The moment you buy into an ism, you're expected to defend it, to pick a side and fight for it, no matter what. ISMs turn us into tribes, and tribes turn us against each other. Instead of working together to solve problems, we spend all our energy arguing over whose ism is better. ISMs serve the system, not the people. Here's the kicker. ISMs don't serve you. They serve the system. They're designed to perpetuate themselves, even at your expense. Capitalism doesn't care if you're drowning in debt, as long as the economy grows. Socialism doesn't care if you're stuck in a bureaucratic nightmare, as long as the collective thrives. The system always comes first. And that's the problem. The Ferris Bueller moment. So here we are, trapped in a world of broken systems, fighting over which ism will save us. But Ferris Bueller already gave us the answer. ISMs are bad. The first step to fixing the world isn't building a better ism. It's rejecting the idea that any ism can save us. Instead, realize that you are capable of thinking beyond the systems that box you in. You don't need someone else's framework to define your path. Trust your ability to analyze, adapt, and act on what works for you and the people around you. The moment you let go of the ISS, you're free. Free to think for yourself. Free to ask the real questions. Free to focus on what actually works, instead of what fits into someone else's framework. This book isn't here to tell you what to believe. It's here to help you see what's been hiding in plain sight. The systems aren't working because they're not supposed to. They were never designed to serve us. They were designed to control us. Gen X, it's your time. You were built for this moment. You were programmed to reject the BS. Now's the time to act. Reject the ISMS. Question everything. And start building something better. Chapter 8. The final word. You made it. Congrats. That's more than most people can say. Hell, most stop reading after the first chapter. But here you are, at the end of the rabbit hole. And guess what? You're still standing. You're still thinking. That's the first sign you're ready for the real work. Let's recap. ISMS are bad. Systems? Trash. You've been lied to, manipulated, and programmed to pick sides in a game rigged against you. Capitalism. Socialism. Individualism. It's all the same trap dressed up in different costumes. I'm telling you, the only way out is to stop playing their game. Stop worshiping broken systems and start doing what actually works. I know what you're thinking, but where do I start? Easy. You start wherever you are. Your life, your business, your community. Question everything. Break what doesn't work. Build something better. And when someone tells you to pick a side, you look them straight in the eye and say, "No. I'm here to solve problems, not join your tribe." So Gen X, you've got the tools. You've got the mindset. You were made for this. Don't waste it. And if you get stuck, remember this. The revolution starts with you, but you don't have to do it alone. Find your people, the ones who care more about solutions than labels. Build something real, something better, and don't let anyone tell you it can't be done. Now, get out there. Question everything. Reject the ISMS. And let's burn the whole damn playbook down, together. Turn on, tune in, drop out. That was the rallying cry of the 1960s, an invitation to reject conformity and disconnect from the noise. By the time Gen X came along, that spirit morphed into something darker. Disillusioned and skeptical, we didn't just drop out, we tuned out. We saw the systems for what they were, rigged, broken, and full of BS. So we shrugged, rebelled quietly, and chose our own path. But here's the truth. Tuning out was never the solution. It was the pause before action. It's time for a new slogan. A new call to arms. Tune in, wake up, lead the way. Tune in, re-engage with the world. See the systems for what they are, not as something to defend, but as something to question. Wake up. Stop being a passive observer. Reject the noise. Think for yourself. Lead the way. Gen X, you were born for this. You've spent your life seeing through the BS. Now it's time to step up, fix what's broken, and build something better. We didn't come this far to tune out forever. This is your moment. The revolution starts now.